Hi, everybody. I'm Danielle Dietrich, and I'm here today to give you a preview this morning of what to expect from the final rule of the U.S. Department of Transportation regarding the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Certification Program. Now, today is Tuesday, April 9th, and that final rule is supposed to be released today. It is not released as of it is about 8:30 this morning. And it's not released yet, but they did post a summary of some of the changes that we can expect to see, and they are very exciting. Some are better than expected, so I wanted to get on and share those with you. First, and perhaps most exciting, is the increase to the personal net worth limit. So previously, set in 2011, that personal net worth limit was 1.32 million for the disadvantaged owner. And that did not include your ownership in your business or your ownership in your primary residence. However, it did include your retirement fund. So that was sort of a difficult number for some folks, especially folks who are nearing, maybe the latter half of their career and starting to think about retirement. They had this weird balance, like, do I save for retirement or should I not because it's going to exclude me? So problem solved. Now with the new regulations, retirement funds are not going to be counted. And the personal net worth limit is being increased to 2,047,000. That is significantly more than the 1.6 million that was proposed in 2022. So that is very exciting. That is going to allow many more folks to participate in the DBE program. And it's also going to allow many currently certified DBEs to remain in the DBE program for a longer period of time. So that is very exciting, very happy news for any companies that do work in this space. And there's also going to be a provision so that can be adjusted every 5 years or so based on certain numbers. So that's also good. So we're not going to be stuck, as we have been now, with an 11-year-old number. So there's going to be the ability to adjust for inflation. Other changes that we are going to see that have been confirmed have been major changes to the interstate certification process. And for any of you out there that do business in more than one state and are DBE, you know what a pain in the behind this process has been. So that is being totally revamped. It should be essentially what it amounts to reciprocity now. And you don't have to provide your whole entire application. You just need to provide proof that you're certified, as well as a declaration of eligibility. And we'll have more details about that in the final rule. But that's also very exciting because that is a pain point for many DBEs out there. They've also made some changes in the interstate process when it comes to your non-home state initiating decertification proceedings. There's going to be a particular process through which that has to run that's going to be really interesting to see play out because based on what we've seen in the summary, there's going to be the involvement of the other states that you are certified in. So say you are certified in state A as your home state and also state B through interstate certification. State B is thinking you no longer qualify for the DBE program. Now, instead of just holding their own thing, they're going to have to get the input of state A, your home state. So that's going to be very interesting. That's going to be very different. But I think that may help protect, for instance, I'm thinking of a client of mine that was in Southern California, a notoriously very high cost of living place. And their company was being decertified by another state on the West Coast where they had interstate certification that had a much lower cost of living. It was based on, for instance, the owner's home, which was, in many places of the country would be considered of significant value, but for Southern California was a pretty modest home. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. They've also codified, they've made some statements before in some of the US DOT opinions on appeals, but they're actually putting into the regulations now that applicants will have the ability to make good faith cures of defects. So, for instance, something that I run into a lot, I see that a company that is applying for certification has some sort of provision in its bylaws or operating agreement that affects control. Now, as long as the application a final decision hasn't been they'll have the chance to fix that. Most folks don't even realize that's there. So that's great. So you can fix that as opposed to before where you would be denied and then you'd have to wait the full year to reapply. So that's really helpful. It makes sense. It decreases work for everyone, including the certifiers. So I think that that should be universally applauded. There's also going to be more specific rules now about what qualifies as financial investment in your company. So it's one of those things to prove ownership. And they require you to show that you have, financial stake in the company, that you've, put some money into it. So they're delineating that more and making more specific provisions in the regs as to what counts and what doesn't. Also, when you borrow money to acquire your ownership interest, that's going to have some rules there. So based on what they had proposed, it was going to require that you will have paid off, say, 15%. I don't know what the final amount's going to be, but in the proposed regs, I believe it was 15% of whatever, say you're buying a $100,000 stake in a company, you should have paid $15,000 of your own money, and then you could finance the rest. So that'll be interesting to see how that shook out, because I don't know exactly what that's going to be. When it comes to the control analysis that is done during the certification process, they're also making some changes. They're eliminating some of the things that have been a little bit problematic. The concept of a family business. They're trying to take what we have seen happen is that there's a lot of emphasis based on what everybody else does in the company and not what on the socially and economically disadvantaged owner actually does. So there's trying to shift the focus back to that person. So that person needs to show that they are top dog, they're top of the org chart, that they make the decisions. So it's just going to clarify some things and I think make it a little bit easier or at least a little bit more straightforward. There's also going to be some revisions to the independence regulations. So, to be a DBE, you have to be independent. And so um, they're going to say, and we'll see what the exact language says, but the summary says that, having just one or a few number of clients that provide most of your work isn't going to be enough to disqualify you, which is great because some certifiers out there saw that if you did business with a small amount of customers, that was going to disqualify you because you couldn't exist without them. So looking forward to seeing what that language says exactly. And then one of the things I'm most interested in seeing is that they are doing away with the ability to accumulate substantial wealth analysis itself. So previously, that was used as a method to counter the presumed finding of economic disadvantage for certain individuals. And that had several factors. That's where you saw the 350,000 in adjusted gross income come into play, and that was misused a lot. That was definitely a pain point for a lot of successful DBEs. So that is going to be replaced by a reasonable person standard. I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what that analysis is going to be. I hope that it is more thorough than what they proposed in the notice of proposed rulemaking in 2022, which was basically a subjective free-for-all. So I am hoping that there is some guidance there. Otherwise, we are going to see some issues. So that is really where I'm crossing my fingers that we're going to have some clarification, because if not, I see that as being a potential, quicksand here for some very difficult situations with particular certifiers. So that is the update. I look forward to doing another update when we have more specific language, but this is from the published summary on the USDOT website of what we can expect to see in the notice today of the final rule. So please like and subscribe. I plan on continuing to do these videos and break down some of these concepts more. And you can always reach me on Twitter at DL Dietrich, DLDIETRICH. I am going to be live tweeting the video meeting today that they're having to announce and go over these rules. So that's at 10 a.m. Eastern. And you can also email me at ddietrich@potomaclaw.com. Thank you.